Good for her.
She does it only at home.
Is Matt here?
Matt is not. Matt's on vacation.
He's in Italy.
Right.
I'm just getting logged in.
Yeah. I didn't know. I didn't see that. I'm kind of jealous.
And you should have been on, don't you think, Peter?
I agree.
If Jessica made it from,
Yeah,
he
no,
could
I
make it from
totally.
Italy.
Well, do we know where Jess was?
Yes, we do.
No, I agree with you. My father-in-law's going with
How much?
Yeah, the flight and some, but then they're like renting, a house together and $150 a night.
We really need to get some touch screens.
I don't know how much.
Drives me crazy.
I think she's got a order.
Plus I have all of the double authentication and all that stuff.
We can line up Karen's,
I think she's got a order.
maybe it's number,
Pretty sure.
I don't, I just have to, I keep reaching for the screen.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
they're Lions fans.
You didn't bring your news
Okay.
magazine. I
Call the meeting to order at 6:08 PM. Sorry for being late from our committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Barnes.
He's
Bauman.
absent, excused.
Okay, Bauman. Here. Gorman.
Here.
Hanson.
Here?
Hermaning.
Here?
Kaiser.
Here.
Maple. Here. Stankowski.
Here.
Zebro.
Yes.
Matt Barnes absent.
Thank you. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, seek approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
Motion by Zebro, second by Gorman. Any corrections or updates? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The student board report is in writing only. We're not going to get a report tonight. Our student board rep has another commitment. Okay? And I think there was a link to this, right? Or was it?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 6 is the special presentation, a technology presentation.
Turn it over to Christy Helt.
Hey. Hello. All right, I promise to keep it short for you. All right, so I got an 8-slide presentation here for you. I have my goals up here. I'm not gonna read through them word by word, but know that there's 2 instructional technology goals and 2 operational technology goals. There's really 2 sides of the house I deal with. I deal a lot with Rob on instructional technology and a lot with Steve on operational technology and infrastructure. So. The day-to-day operations by the numbers, we create and manage over 2,000 student accounts and 300 employee accounts. Software management, we have 22 operational softwares and 26 educational or instructional softwares. And in the last year, we closed 2,608 help desk tickets. One of our goals for the last 2 years has been cybersecurity. We really want to be proactive so we do not have to be reactive. That's our hope. We've caused a lot of pains for people because we require them to do things like change their password or set up 2-step verification. But we would rather be proactive on the front side than making them do it after we have a breach or something like that. We also have a lot of things in place to help protect students. And the thing that's new in the last year too is we do cybersecurity training for all of our staff. And we send out monthly phishing tests, and so if somebody clicks on something they shouldn't, they get put into a training to just enhance their awareness and get people thinking in the back of their mind, like, should I be doing this? And just that people thinking about it a little bit helps tremendously. That's our biggest threat is our human factor because we can't control that. Funding, two pieces of funding that are unique to technology. In the last, since COVID, they created this new ECF fund, and it's 3 grants that I wrote. And basically, Emergency Connectivity Fund, the ECF, it was for students to connect them during when they were at virtual learning and all that. But we got all of that money to basically refresh our entire Chromebook and laptops.
That was my question, I think you answered it. The 485,000 is all in grants that you wrote?
Yes,
And 127.
yes,
Okay. All 3?
all
Okay.
3.
Right, so,
Thank you, Christie.
All 3, yep.
yes.
The E-rate, we get that automatically, the bottom one, that you don't have to fill stuff out to get it, but you do have to fill stuff out to, the federal government, based on our enrollment, allocates us a certain amount. You have to fill out paperwork to collect that at the bottom. So ECF at the top is 100% funded. E-rate is funded at, we get discounted 60%. So our budget there, we actually only pay 40% of that. That's how much we can spend on projects during that 5-year cycle. So we're kind of in the middle of that right now.
So that $600,000 in grant writing that you did at the ECF, who is that through? Is that through multiple agencies, state?
It's FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, is the one who put it out. And then we use USAC, it was like the platform to fill it out. United, I don't remember the
Okay,
acronym, but it's the USAC website is where we go to fill it out.
thank you.
Chromebook repairs, so we fix all our Chromebooks in-house. We have students from the high school do it. These are our numbers for the last, since we started one-to-one Chromebooks. Just so you're aware, all of our kids in K4 have a Chromebook, but they keep it in their classroom in a cart, and all kids 5-12 get one and they take it home. Some interesting things is during the COVID year, there was a lot more breakage, and that really wasn't due to our students. We had a defective Chromebook, and we couldn't send them back because of the supply shortage, so HP, the vendor, sent us the stuff and we fixed them here. And then you'll notice this year our numbers are down, and I think that's because we got new Chromebooks. They're higher quality. The problem is that when they do break, they're more expensive, so.
But you can still.
We fix them
repair
in-house.
In-house still?
Yep.
Even with the new technology? Okay.
Some big projects we've done in the past are just finishing up, is we did a complete website redesign this month. Last summer, when I say we, Steve really did a lot of work on replacing those smart panels. So we redid all the displays in the classroom, and we're gonna finish that project this summer with the rest. We replaced all the high school, and we're in the middle of replacing the middle school teacher laptops. We increased camera security last spring, and we got another project this spring to just add cameras in some spots where the principals determined was discipline, and we added a few more cameras. The auditorium, sound and light, we did a complete overhaul because that wasn't replaced since it was built, and that should last, that's an investment that'll last into the future for a while. And last summer we did a copier refresh.
Okay.
Next week, we have a huge phone system overhaul. My whole department's working next week, even though it's their birthday and it's spring break. I have 2 birthdays in my department, but they're working anyway because we're replacing every phone in the district. And it's long overdue, like years. The phones we have aren't up to code. We're not following the things that we need to follow, so this will be a big upgrade.
Is it a VoIP upgrade?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When I talk to other people, they're just shocked that we don't have VoIP phones. Yeah. So the switch replacement is coming up next school year. That's an E-rate project. A switch, for those who don't know, whenever we have electronics, it goes back to a network closet, and that's the thing we plug things into. So we're replacing the switches in all of our closets. And in the following year, we're using the rest of the E-rate funding in this cycle to replace all of our access points. So those are the WAPs that we put in the ceiling, wireless access points. So that is what I got.
Sounds great, perfect.
Yeah.
I do
Thank you.
have one question.
Yes.
So my question is if you could just confirm again, you have cameras in all hallways in all buildings, correct?
I wouldn't say every single hallway, I would say most hallways.
Most hallways, so like the high traffic areas?
Yes.
And,
I have maps of where all the cameras are. I wouldn't want to publish them, but I can show you.
and then there's none in classrooms? Or maybe a few?
There's the Metals classroom and the Woods classroom, we have one. And then we have them in gyms and the library. And then we're putting them in the offices, but classrooms, no.
All right, that answers that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is there somebody else presenting?
Any other questions for Christie before she sits down?
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. All right, item 7, seek approval of the minutes from the February 21st regular board meeting.
I'll make that motion to approve. I'll second it.
Motion by Gorman, second by Zebro. Any corrections? Please.
When I reviewed them
There was
Thursday
something-
night or Friday, was it the adjournment? There was nothing, nobody listed for adjourn? Amy did. So, anybody remember? We
The
wouldn't.
closed
If I
session,
had a
hold
bet, it's these two.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was me.
you're talking at the very end of the
Yes.
minutes. So it was at, this is after we came out of closed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I apologize. We adjourned from closed, which we were told we could do
We
that.
could do
Yes.
that, that's true.
Because we took no action in
Right.
open afterward. And it was actually at about 11:27. So,
Could we add to the minutes that it was, instead of motion by, comma, seconded by,
yes.
so 5 years from now when nobody remembers, just a note that it was.
Gorman and Zebro?
we-
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, just we adjourned out of closed, but
And I have it written down too at home. I have my old notes.
I would have bet a lot of money as you two.
Megan, you didn't take that one by chance, did
You were
you?
ready.
I have it at home.
You have it? Okay. So, if you would just reach out to Amy so she can
Yep.
put the
If you don't have.
the
it.
individuals, if you, one of the two of you have them.
Yep, I've got it.
So,
Just didn't bring it with.
okay. With that editorial change, I'll seek we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public forum, item 8A, the public forum provides the opportunity with the provides the public with the opportunity to ask questions about or address issues included on the school board meeting agenda. And it's my understanding that there is one individual who has asked to speak tonight. Please. Would you like us to bring the podium back up?
Oh, no, that's fine.
You're good, okay.
Yeah, mine's short today. My name is Mary Dahl. I live at 508 Fifth Street in the city of Mosinee. And I'm the team lead for the assistant staff at Mosinee Middle School. And I'd like to speak to agenda item 13C and D, the support staff pay model and the substitute staff pay model. At the last board meeting, I voiced some concerns that the assistant staff had in regards to the proposed pay model and the shortage of substitute assistants. In reviewing the revised model that is proposed and asking some questions, I'm in favor of adopting the new model. I think that this is a great start to not only achieving unity among the support staff, but also in attracting new staff to the district. I'd like to thank Carla and Michelle for all the work that went into this process, as well as the board for hearing our concerns and facilitating these changes. Thank you for all the support that you have given to our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 9 is the consent agendas. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Gorman, second by Kaiser to approve the consent agendas. Any issues being pulled out? Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, discussion and possible decision, approval of the monthly voucher list.
I'll make the motion to approve the monthly voucher list.
We have a motion by Hanson, a second by Bauman to approve the monthly voucher list. Roll call, please.
Bauman,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hermaning,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Maple,
Yes.
Stankowski.
Yes.
Zebro.
Yes.
All yes.
Thank you. Item number 11, discussion and possible decision, acceptance of the monthly treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the monthly treasurer's report.
I'll second.
Motion by Hanson, second by Zebro. Questions? Roll call, please.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hermaning,
Yes.
Yes.
Kaiser, Maple,
Yes.
Stankowski.
Yes.
Zebro.
Yes.
Bauman.
Yes.
Gorman.
Yes.
All yes.
Thank you. Item number 12, discussion, board superintendent communication.
Yeah, I have 4 items. Congratulations to the boys hockey team for winning sectionals and advancing to the state tournament. That was a wonderful community event, multiple buses. I was there, and a lot of Mosinee was there in a small arena, which we had nothing to do with, but hopefully they clean a larger arena next time. So for those that weren't there or aren't aware, we were in an arena that was standing room only. But it was a great event. Congratulations also to Avery Alice. She advanced to the state tournament for the third year in a row on the beam and the floor. Congratulations to boys basketball. They won the regional since I posted this, the regional championship, and then lost in the semifinal. But it was also very exciting, both games. It was all just a great way to end the winter season. The middle school commons open on the 6th, so we're excited about that. Like any new build, there's always a few things here or there that need to be adjusted. Thank you to Steve Kaiser and his crew, along with Ellis Construction, for taking care of those things. Minor things like TV updates, installs, just a few things. But we have been successfully using the new commons for the better part of a week now. We're excited about it, and they've already cleared out the old commons. So full demo, we should be close to done by the end of this week. We're hoping to have new spaces built sometime at the end of May. So we're excited to hopefully move some of our staff during this school year yet, so that we don't have to do it at the start of the next year. What's not listed here is phase 3. It'll be in the summer, but we have those projects already in front of us. We'll talk about that at a later date. March and spring, we got spring break right upon us next week, so everybody's excited about that. A lot of people are talking about it. I have seen the phones come in already. I did see a new phone sitting on my desk after I walked in from a Chamber of Commerce event. I looked at it and said, oh yeah, that's right, this is happening. So I did see that. I know that Christy's team is going to be working full go next week. Graduation and end of year activities are kicking into high gear with prom. I think it's April 15th. On or about, pretty close. And then all of the other end of year activities like the awards banquets and all of those wonderful things that end out a school year, especially for the class of 2023. Welcome back to Ms. Hallis, who's right over here, to the position she filled for multiple years, and special thanks to Ms. Tomer for her work and flexibility in taking on an equally challenging role at the high school in the Pupil Services Office. So welcome back, Amy.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. Old business number 13A, discussion, additional school resource officer's timeline update.
Yep, I've talked to Chief Grahams, but also City Administrator Gates, and there's a slight delay, about 3 months, due to some monetary issues at the city, meaning there were some pay increases that they gave to all of their officers. So they had to make some minor adjustments. So we're set back about 3 months, but we're still on target. We had a good discussion with City Administrator Gates and Chief Grahams. But we're still on target for hiring the road officer first this summer, doing the training. The plan is still there, just a slight delay. So it's a great conversation with the city. We're very thankful for the continued collaboration.
Any questions? Okay. Item 13B, discussion and possible decision, 2023-2024 staffing plan.
Yeah, I linked in the staffing plan, which is just continuing from the last meeting, but really it's sub 1, sub 2, and sub 3. For sub 1, with the credit recovery additional position, I do have, I'm going to call up somebody to help me with this a little bit, but one of the big things about this position is that we always try to answer 4 questions in education. What do you want the kids to know and learn? How do you know that they've learned it? What do you do when they don't get it or learn it? And what do you do if they already know it? For the purposes of this discussion, we're just focusing on that 3rd question. So what happens if the kids didn't learn it or get it the first time? What do we do? And that's what this credit recovery numbers are all about. Christy, if you could jump into B sub 1, credit recovery position. I'd like to call up Mr. Novinsky. He's going to help me out a little bit with the what of this position and the need with respect to all of the data that's in here. alternative ed. Mr. Novinsky's been with us for many years, the last several,
I'm retiring.
and retiring.
That's how many years.
Yes, retiring,
He was
but
my
also,
teacher so many years.
but also currently alternative education program. Mr. Novinsky.
I taught seventh grade for a long time. About 5 years ago, I moved to the high school position. This is not coming from Mr. Munoz. This is coming from the SST team, where we came up the channel. I'm the one that actually requested it, and I'll tell you why. The program is really the position's two things. Alternative ed is one path to graduation, and those are kids that are not gonna make it the traditional way. That they don't have enough credits, they could go for years and probably make it, it's more of a competency type based thing. The second position is an at-risk credit recovery. Those are kids that are struggling in classes, that have flunked classes, maybe transferred from a different school district halfway, and they're taking a program called Odyssey-ware. It's an online program. We've seen an increase in that, unbelievable. When I first started the program, it was about 94 courses a year. Now it's well over 300 courses. And it's really difficult because sometimes in the room, when I first started, I had alt ed for 3 periods and then credit recovery for 3 periods. Now it's overlapping because at one point we had 21 alt ed kids and an unbelievable amount of credit recovery kids. And as Mr. Munoz said, this is all about kids. This is giving a pathway for kids that are struggling. And what's happening is we're seeing more and more kids that are struggling. And that's why the position, I feel, needs to be divided into 2 things. Alternative ed teacher, where they can focus on just trying to graduate, and a credit recovery teacher was really doing that risk. I also started 2 other classes. They're called Skills for Success. Those are kids that are almost ready to be in Odyssey-ware. And that teacher would be teaching 2 periods a day. We take top 15 students that are freshmen, sophomores that are struggling, and the top 15 juniors and seniors in 2 separate classes, and we try to get them to get back on track. It has nothing to do with Odyssey, where it's just a character building organization, doing things, and that's every day. There's no way the next teacher is going to be able to do all of this. It's just not going to happen. I don't think you'll find anybody that will want to do it. And that's why I came to the SST team and Mr. Munoz and said, listen, we need 2 positions. Now, if things get better, you never know. I mean, we go in cycles. We're still seeing the effects of COVID with people struggling. And so that's why I recommended that we have 2 teachers teach this position, 1 alternative ed, 1 credit recovery. I'll answer any of your questions. And trust me, I'm fiscally responsible. Look at the vehicles that I drive. So I know it's not easy to spend money. I know that. And I was a school board member. I know how it is. You have to watch your money. But to me, this is a great investment. It's a great investment in kids that are struggling.
Thank you, Coach. The data the coach is referencing right here, the increase, you have all this in your packets. This is the total high school course enrollments at 303, projected at 450. We have it broken out by different subgroup, but there has been a substantial increase of we call it O-ware, it's short for Odyssey-ware. So if someone says O-ware, it's identical to Odyssey-ware, it's another one of those acronyms. So are there questions?
Mr. Munoz, I just looked this up because I just want to, as of today, this school year, 125 Odyssey-ware or O-ware classes have been completed by students. It's crazy. My first year would have been maybe 90 the entire year, maybe. We'll probably do 170, 180 O-ware classes this year.
Question?
Is it something that can be like, do you think if it would be changed to just like, instead of a full-time, like a part-time?
I mean, that's all come down to the numbers. From what I hear in middle school, this is going to be a continuing thing. We have some kids that just need extra help, and that's what this is. It's more individually focused, and especially those kids that are struggling. To get in this class, you have to usually flunk something. That's how you get there. If you're not flunking, you go into those Skills for Success programs. So this is a kid that has failed a class, and unless they make it up, they're possibly on track to not graduate on time. And sometimes it's a spiral effect. Sometimes it's 2, 3 classes, and there's something going on in the kid's life.
So my question is how do we come up with the projected numbers? What is the data behind that? What drives that?
F list is a big one. We look at the kids that are failing certain semesters and what they're gonna have to do. And
There are other things. So
Yeah.
the SST team is looking at F lists, but there's also what's called an at-risk criteria. So the state has, in statute, has 5 criteria. Behind in credits is 1, which is 4.5 credits a year or less. Behind in skills, which usually might mean special ed, but not always, especially in today's day and age. So it's behind in credits, behind in skills, adjudicated delinquent. So if you've committed a felony, but you're a juvenile, you're adjudicated. So those 3, if you're a parent or if you're habitually truant. So 2 of those 5 makes you statutorily at risk of being a high school dropout. So once it's called an at-risk criteria under 11815. So any of those 2 criteria establishes an alternative pathway under 11815, which is the specialty certification that only, it's called a 952, which is an alternative ed certification. It allows for us to modify and change things in order to help an at-risk student. So it might not be truancy, it might not be credits, there could be a parent or just an adjudication. Not that that's a small thing. And there's, any of those 2 establishes them as at risk.
Okay, so it's not just Fs then. So it's possible that this could be a more inflated number because it's 2 of the 5 criteria.
Right, credits, which is Fs, credits is one of the 5 criteria. The most common are credits and truancy. So the most common issues are, and we're still working with, I think it's mirror imaging. We had committed some dollars in order to really push on the truancy piece, but the 2 most prevalent at-risk factors are credits and truancy. The other ones exist. We have students here and there. I mean, the skills piece, adjudicated delinquent, that's black and white. They either are or they're not. And then, whether they're a parent or not, pretty black and white. So those are identifying factors. So then we're required to provide an alternative means to graduation based on those at-risk status. So, and that's what this is. In other districts, like when I worked in the Wausau School District eons ago, they have 5 different sites for alternative and different programs for different situations.
But we could potentially incorporate summer school or something into this as well, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we could make it what we want to make it, but I mean, summer school, here's alternative graduation or an alternative student is similar to, I'll give an example. The state of Wisconsin if somebody turns 18 and they have 5 credits, the myth is that they're going to actually be able to get done on time, if you will, in 4 years. Our advocation as a district is we want them to learn and to get ready for that next step, whatever it is. The 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, as long as they don't turn 21, we can keep helping them. So that's how some of this gets turned a little bit. And from a high school perspective, the alt-ed counselors and actually administration, they're going to work hand in hand to make sure that we don't have a dropout problem, which we do not. I believe last year, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Grimminger, we had 100% graduation rate? Or close?
They're continuing.
Right.
Yeah, we have a couple that are 5th-year seniors. But
Right. So in that situation where we have some that are working to be 5th-year seniors, they actually count against us in the short term, but we're staying on top of them with somebody in this position. That's alternative ed. The credit recovery is trying to keep kids from actually being in such a terribly severe situation.
I have a question. Are any of the kids who are in Odyssey Ware or the other alternative education program, are any of those kids also benefiting from maybe an AP class and then college credit being paid for by the district in another curriculum area.
I think we'd have to get back to you with that information, but I think it's relatively unlikely.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I was wondering about whether there are some options for the district to maybe not have that outlay of capital as well, you know, by reinvesting additional focus on getting these kids to graduate
Yep.
on time for their core curriculum classes.
We would have to come back to you
Okay,
with specific data.
I was just curious about that.
My guess is that it's unlikely.
I would think.
My thought process is, so looking at this, we have a total of 275 staff. In my research, from what I've seen, we had 266 staff last year. That's what was published online, so that's where I got that data. But my point is that we have an increase of staff and a slight decrease in students due to the open enrollment. We haven't hired or filled the position that Mr. Novinsky is currently in. And because we just approved it last month, going to be filling it. So to me, while I completely agree, I want the kids first, we also have to find that balance with the budget. So to me, I would like to, so I'm making a motion to table this for now until we see a little bit more data, get a person in place, and get a little bit further evaluation for other options, and get more data like Kevin's asking for, and potentially, is summer school a piece of this? And how are the counselors playing a part in this as well?
Well, and if I can add, how will adding an additional SRO to the high school full-time, how would that, you know, what would the effect of that be? Because I know in the, not this year at the state convention, but the year before, their SRO played a hybrid, if you will, of an alt ed SRO, truancy social worker type of, and was funded by, in addition to all these other pieces that the school paid for, but had a specific funding, and I can forward you all that information of how they worked to fund that piece, and it was completely grant funded. But I think that would also be a great thing to look at, because, you know, it does seem to be this increasing phenomenon of kids who get passed and do not have the skills needed to have a high school degree. You know, and we do have to do something to make sure that they are getting the basic skills that they need and that they're just not getting pushed through because they're aging.
So Megan, are you seconding the motion to table?
Yeah, I will second that motion.
Okay, so, I should have asked that before that. I appreciate what you said, because a tabling motion requires a second, but then it immediately cuts off debate.
And then we have to take it from the table specifically.
Sometime.
Correct.
It's open.
So there is no additional discussion about this. If the motion to table is passed tonight, then it would be postponed to some future time, beyond this evening, more than likely. So knowing that there's a motion to table by Maple and a second by Stankowski, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm voting no. Not table. So 8-1. All right.
7-1.
Sorry, I apologize, 7-1. Okay. There were other staffing.
Yep, the next positions that we'd like to add in, it's actually cost neutral. We have budgeted $10,000 a year professional development for PBIS. I'd like to reduce that budget from that $10,000 budget. It's under budgetary impact on the bottom of the sheets that you have. I'd like to reduce that budget in perpetuity forever and fund 3 PBIS positions, coach positions listed here. It'll cost to be between $45,6029 and $51,3147. There'll be 1 position per building, and as I said, I currently have budgeted for PBIS $10,000 a year. I'm going to reduce that and put the money into staffing to gain these 3 positions from the PBIS budget. And that is recommended from our PBIS group and team.
And so the 3 would be, just 3 would be attending the conference rather than 17?
I actually don't know if anybody will be attending the conference.
okay.
We're essentially
Right.
gonna reduce the amount of money and put those dollars into our staff. We might have some attending, but it's not gonna be the $10,000 worth of staff going to the conference. We're
So-
substantially changing how we're coming at PBIS.
So is there a motion to approve the request?
Kevin,
Yes?
I would actually like to postpone this motion until possibly a month or two, because while we have new people and we're creating this, and I'm fine with the dollar amount and the 3 coaches, when we have new people and we have new, I think Stephanie Treva was on, and Sarah, PBIS, we're still in tier 1 and 2 of the 3 buildings. It is a foundation, it needs to continue to build, but I don't think and I don't know what the percentage of staff that tie into PBIS. And, you know, I read a lot online, and David, thank you for sending me a lot of the information. But, you know, we need to make it work for our district. We need to change the behavior instead of make it personally rewarding and not always giving it some type of reward physically. You have to look at all of the students as well getting rewards, because you got some students that are being totally frustrated because they're not getting any rewards because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we have an opportunity, if we're gonna go this route, to come back and see this team that you wanna create, and how can we make it work for our district?
So are you
So
making that
I'm
as a
making a
motion to
motion.
postpone?
Yes.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the difference between table and postpone, tabling does not specify when or if it will ever come back. Postponement means that you are setting a date
Right,
by which or at which it will come back.
correct.
So you are making a motion to postpone this agenda item until the April regular board
Well,
meeting?
if David thinks he can get this ready by April, I'm fine with April, unless he needs to
What-
move to May.
What more information?
I wanna see how we can structure this to make it work for our district. Because I don't believe that, you know, maybe it's talking to staff and getting a full more buy-in from all staff and parents. I mean, if you see the uptick that we've had with the elementary and discipline and middle school, we've seen it in the school perception reports. I hear it from parents daily about the discipline issues. So if we're still in tier 1 and 2 of the 3 buildings and just starting tier 2, we need to maybe relook at what we're doing.
I'm
and build.
certain that we can have a more expansive report prepared for April,
Okay, perfect.
if the postponement is a month. I'm certain
Okay,
that we absolutely can, have that ready.
And if you could add in that then, the 17 who did attend that conference, did they gain from it? Would it be worth the money to send this potential 3 back to the conference? Or do they feel like there's a different conference or a different means that they could go about getting, you know, the latest and greatest information about it? You know, rather than sending, you know, them back to a conference that maybe they didn't like, or maybe, you know. like I
Yeah,
said,
we
didn't
can-
get much work.
I wrote it
Yeah,
down.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, motion by Gorman, second by Stankowski to postpone until the April regular board meeting, the addition of the PBIS 3 coaching positions. Any other discussion? Just a quick question. So in the meantime, the $10,000, I'm guessing you're not gonna make any changes between now and then, but that $10,000 budget item still stays out there then, pending any other change.
Yeah, we're still setting budgets right now, so
Yeah.
we'll continue to allot $10,000 to PBIS, and
Okay.
we'll make changes in the future.
All right, and the potential was for each of those positions to be Class D, of $1,520 to $1,700, depending on their experience per person. Is that correct? That's what that was
Yes.
what was in the green on there.
Yes.
All right, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That was it for staffing.
Nope, there's one more.
Oh, sorry.
Classes,
Oh,
board
that's, I'm sorry.
policy for classes
Yep,
with
yep, I
enrollment
see
under
it.
15.
Yeah,
Thank you to all who assisted with sectioning at the high school. We are at the point of, there's, I changed this a little bit this year. It's pretty much the same format. But for example, in science, I wanted the board and everybody to see that while there's one class that's running substantially below 15, AP Physics, it's a capstone course and there's a lot that comes with that, but it's an extremely packed department. There's 60 sections, 60, with 5 full-time FTEs. So it's, for example, that's one class. And I do the same sort of thing wherever in all of these areas. So Tier 2 intervention, integrated math, that's a class every year, whether it's this district or any other district. It shows 7, but it's likely going to be substantially more than that, because what happens is students finish out the year, they may struggle in a certain math area, and then at the start of the year, our math teachers working with counselors start moving students around to make sure they have the math that they need. Same thing in art, we're combining a few classes. You can see that there in terms of art. So Clay 1 and Advanced Art running together. So that's actually going to be more than 15, but they're 2 different classes running together. The same with drawing and Advanced Art Drawing. It's actually 15 once you put them together, but I wanted to be transparent with they are 2 different classes running at the same time. Same thing down below with Ag 4 and Ag Resource Management. So Business Ed followed the same sort of idea all the way through. Marketing Principles is a dual credit course at 12. We are recommend running that course. Down below is Tech Ed. The Tech Ed department includes graphics, woods, construction, engineering, metals, and graphics. The number of sections, the number of requests into Tech Ed is increasing, has increased. There's a couple classes that are capstone courses that are listed here, but altogether they have 3 full-time teachers, 36 total sections, and a couple that are slightly below 15. We are combining one class, and then you can see that Chromebook repair class that Mrs. Helt mentioned is listed and runs out of graphics. So that's got 14 students. They actually do quite a bit of work for us and receive credit. Family Consumer Science, same sort of thing. They have 24 total sections, which is the equivalent to 2 full-time teachers. A couple courses below that are going to be running together. You can see them grouped together like that. Same thing with PE and music. So we're appropriately staffed at the high school with a couple low areas. I am recommending approval of all of these courses as listed.
is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Zebro, second by Gorman, to approve the classes with enrollment of 15 students or fewer. Discussion, please. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 13C, sorry. Discussion and possible decision support staff pay model.
Yep, we have Carla here along with Michelle. I know they have both put quite a bit of work into crafting this, which has been mentioned earlier. Actually, the next 2 items, we are recommending approval.
I'll make a motion to approve what's been presented by our administrative staff.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Hanson, second by Maple to approve the support staff pay model. Discussion, please. Questions? Megan?
Similar to the placement of people, our teaching staff to the model that we've been looking at for them, how will we determine where someone gets placed and on what step if the steps do not imply years of experience? Is it going to be run through the same program? You know, I know we have assistants working in our schools who have been here
Carla
for
can speak to
20 years.
Carla, would you speak to that?
They'll be placed similar to where they're at now, provided that it's close, and we kind of looked at what would be the amount of increase because we want it to be enough over 2.5%. If it's not, we would then put them at the next level. So if you look across, you have the groups based upon the group of where they fall, and then you have the steps, step 1 through to the max. So let's just say that you have a teacher assistant, and a teacher assistant right now, because the pay was so low, if they were below, significantly below the starting rate, we would put them at step 1, as long as it's over 2.5%. And then we would do the same thing along the whole group based upon that criteria, and that's how we costed the model as well.
I'm just wondering, in our motion, you have 2 different tables here, I guess yeah, what,
Which ones?
The step.
over on the right, those
You're
2,
saying
do we
this
need to
compared to that?
You need to
differentiate?
decide which cost,
Yeah, I know.
which one that you want.
I wanted to know what he was asking.
Yeah, I
That's
just
all.
was wondering if it probably needs to be included in the motion.
Step 1
Yep.
through step 6 has been constructed to have an increase at the beginning rate, but also each step, there's a 2.5% increase with each step, just to let you know that. It's taking the old model, all the 2.5% jumps, and moving it to the front of the model, in essence, is what you're looking at.
Guess I'm just wondering, after step 6, isn't that an annual decision that we would make?
Yes.
So do we have to differentiate between them?
We would.
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe this would help determine how you present your motion. The 3.69% costing is H, where Board of Education annual approved amount is 2%. The table below that is 2.5% increase.
I'll revise the motion for the first table. If I don't get a second on it.
Would it be for the bottom table? Correct, because the bottom table,
The bottom table
Is
is
the
a
2.5%.
2.5%
Yes.
increase from the level going back up to the top of the model, Christie. So we can see the model. The level, beyond step 6, that's what that would affect. So if you're saying that increase for anybody in that group would be 2.5%, that would be the lower cost. If you're saying it's 2%, that would be the top cost.
So to give you 30,000 feet, the top model that lists 3.69%, that's for the whole group, not each individual person.
Right. This,
And
this 79,000
Yeah.
represents 3.69% as a
Aggregate.
bucket of assets.
Because there's gonna be people that need to fit in and get into this model. We've costed all individual people. So 369 isn't each individual person, but it's what it'll cost to get it all done. So that's important language from agenda setting, that there was some, after agenda setting,
Right.
there's usually conversation back and forth. This
Yep.
was one of those that was healthy and good, about like 3.8 is for the whole group, but not necessarily each individual person. The
Okay.
difference between the two is that when you're looking at the board-approved annual amount, in the very first one at 3.69, that amount is 2%. That's how it's factored. But in the lower one at 3.8, it's all factored at 2.5. That's the difference in the math. That's the difference.
Bottom, okay. Change the motion to the bottom one.
Yep, so people will no longer go down, they'll only go to the right. And Christy, if you wouldn't mind going back to the main, that section here. So in this column H, it doesn't matter exactly what the number is, I don't think, but Diane and I, during agenda setting, we just had a couple questions, and there are about 20 different steps that would get somebody from column G up to column I. All right, so to be clear, and it made sense when it was explained. Carla and Michelle were working live while we were in Mr. Munoz's office, just trying to glean and understand it. So,
Yeah, and
Megan,
special,
does that?
oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay, good.
Special thanks to Carla and Michelle. I know there's a lot of work that went into the back end of this with a lot of other districts.
Yeah.
So looking at a lot of other districts' models, this wasn't, created, we created this, Carla created this with Michelle, looking at all of these different districts and saying, we want to have a compilations of things, so kudos to them for that work.
So the motion by Hanson, and who is the second, Maple?
Yes.
We changed it to the second
Was
table.
to approve the proposed support staff pay model at a 2023-2024 projected cost of $2,235,718. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for all of the work on that. Item number 13D, discussion and possible decision, substitute staff pay increase. All right.
And this, also quite a bit of work, Carla, thank you very much, and Michelle, we are recommending approval. There's a lot of comparable information listed here. Keep in mind that when you're looking at the comparable information, we do put teacher right next to assistant and sped assistant, just to be clear. Maybe there should have been a double line, teacher, assistant, sped assistant, but just so you're looking at it, this one is a vertical instead of a horizontal look. The total increase for substitute staff would be $40,709.
This particular model would go into effect for the next school year, just to reinforce that. And please know that these numbers have been, there's a lot of talk among all districts. What we do isn't going to start a bidding war. They're already doing it. They're already increasing. We have nothing to do by what we approve tonight that's going to initiate that. This is, they're probably, as they sit in their board meeting, they're having the same discussions already.
And one important acknowledgement is, like I said, after agenda setting, there's some really good emails back and forth with Diane and Kevin about this as well. One thing I want to reinforce is that we're very thankful for our teachers for period subbing, because we certainly do not have enough external subs to cover our need. That's an important point. We do not have enough external subs to cover our need. So we are in need and are very appreciative of teachers for their period subbing and their willingness to period sub.
I would so move.
We have a motion by Kaiser to approve the substitute staff pay increase.
Second.
Second by Stankowski. Any other discussion or questions?
Did everybody see this? It's in your black folder. It's in your black folder. This is what David had mentioned. I had asked some questions because, looking at the sub pay from 130 to 140, is that gonna get people to come? That was my concern. And that's why I asked for a comparison of period subbing, sub pays for the last, and it was great, thank you Michelle and Carla for getting this over, because it gives you a little bit of history. I didn't know if we were just quite ready to make that decision tonight, because are we gonna get people to come for another $10 a day to sub? And I wanna make sure we looked at every aspect before making that decision, before as you discuss the bidding war. Because if we do this tonight, are we gonna have to come, we talked about this in personnel too. You know, we don't wanna create that bidding war and have to come back 2 months later and up it again.
So just so everybody's looking at the same dollar amounts, Mrs. Gorman is referencing the document that says 2021, $415,259.58 on a graph. And then 21-22, $416,024.28. And then year-to-date expenses for subbing, including period subbing and external subbing, $217,413.17.
And
So-
we're talking just about teachers on this graph. This has nothing to do
Right.
with assistants, just so
Right.
you know.
As I look at it, I'm assuming that we compete against Everest,
Good point.
Point, Wausau, Point's low, all the others are pretty much matched, so I don't know if there's gonna be that much of a,
Well, and I sub for Everest, and I get paid 128 with no incentive plan. So I'm not totally sure that that number for Everest is accurate. I mean, I subbed there today. My question
It's
that,
accurate, you have to work so many times in order to be eligible for a bump.
Yeah, it's a scaled,
yeah, they never even said that though, like when I was there.
Shame on them.
And I get paid 128, and that I know for sure.
They're charging you for lunch.
No.
well, that's
don't.
another story we'll come
No,
to.
but I think it's interesting, Marathon, someone told me, because Marathon, if you remember, that Marathon sub pay was like 170 a day.
175.
Okay, 175.
Yeah.
But they hired someone, rather than bumping up $10 a day for the cost of 40,000, they have one full-time person who just is a substitute. And they work full-time as a sub and they just float, you know, probably almost every day because,
Well, we have discussed that, didn't we, Diane? Did you do that? Yeah. At one time, we have discussed hiring some.
Yeah, that was part of the discussion back and forth after agenda setting, that we would be pulling from the same pool of substitutes.
Right.
So we would be reducing our external subs, and they, I mean, because our best external subs, and they're all great, they would be the people that would get those positions. We learned that during COVID.
Right.
Because we did that during COVID, and what we did is we reduced our external subs, and that's when our period subbing, that's why when you see the difference, this is a good sheet, I'm glad it was asked for, and thank you, Michelle and Carla, for putting this together. That pre-COVID, it was $226,000 roughly in 1920 in subbing for teachers, and that jumped to $415,000, and the next year $416,000 the following year. It looks like we're tracking for about that same number this year, tentatively, that's our guess.
That's what I was gonna ask.
you mean toward the 400?
Toward the 400.
Yeah, because this is 5/9 of the year,
That's
so
what I
4
was gonna
months
say.
to go, February through May.
We're projecting similar numbers this year as the past 2 years.
I was wondering the 217,000 as of when?
End of January, and I think it might add, I did the math on this based on the metrics here, the ratio. It came to like 391 or
Okay, I was,
something.
if that was as of like this week, I would say we're not.
No, end of
projecting.
January, yeah.
Then, yeah, absolutely.
Because this was requested probably right after you would have been able to pull February numbers, and it was fine with us that it wasn't February when Diane and I looked at this.
Right, and
So-
Michelle sent me an email that we're essentially on track for the same level of spending this year as the past 2 years, so well over $400,000 in subbing.
I will say that I am not in support of this because like Diane alluded, we had talked about this in personnel for quite some time. And because of my background in workforce development, this is a math equation. And what I mean by that is it's about the population, it's about the workforce. Our unemployment numbers are very low. And yep, COVID exacerbated the boomers to want to retire. People want to leave the workforce. And now we don't have the people to put back in. So you just can't find the people to put back in, which is then causing this period subbing to go up. But by increasing by $10 is not going to draw them here. I think we need to find some other creative way to attract and retain staff. That is my 2 cents.
I think though, if you don't mind me saying, again, maybe we should have separated the teacher from the assistants, because we did an increase for the teachers back in 2021, and we also did one increase for sped assistants, and that was it. We still are paying a regular ed assistant right now $12.25. They haven't received an increase, at least as far back that I can go back to see. It's been quite some time that we've been at that $12.25 rate. So even if I can understand $10 for a teacher, but the impact that I see right now is at least separating the assistants and looking at the assistant sub rates, and maybe just at this time approving that, and then we can go back and reevaluate, is the $10 per teacher going to be effective or not, or what else can we do?
Another question is, do any of our current assistants that we're now going to be approving on the new pay scale, do any of them have that ability to period sub as well, the way teachers do?
You mean period sub for a teacher or period sub for themselves, for their own group?
However, they need to fill in. I
Mhm.
mean, do they do the same thing like a teacher? I just don't know, meaning like, so because we increased that new staffing model, is that a piece of this equation as well?
I'm not sure if I follow you, but support staff do not period sub. If somebody's gone and we can't fill the position, people they just do their job and cope without having that extra person.
Okay, so we don't try to backfill even sped assistants or anything like that, it's just then they're not there.
For the most part.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, because I know we're short-staffed quite often.
The elementary school does have, as a sped assistant, you have to be certified.
Mhm.
So their
Yeah.
general ed assistants, for the most part, are certified, so they will fill in for the sped assistants. But at the other schools, I don't believe they do that. We just work short. And as an assistant, because of the way our schedule runs, we don't have prep periods, so we can't period sub for a teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the proposal is to increase the teacher and secretarial amounts by a little bit under 8%, 7.7%, and increase the assistants and the sped assistants 14.3 and 11.1% respectively, to, I believe, bring them more in line with what is the regional amounts, higher in the few cases, but that's the proposal before us tonight. We do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Bauman. Yes. Gorman.
No.
Hanson.
No.
Hermany.
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yes.
Maple.
No.
Stankowski.
Yes.
Zebro.
Yes.
5-4, yes. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Can't
No,
have
can't be
5-4.
No,
Five-
that's not here.
5-3.
5-3.
5-3, sorry, my mistake.
Assuming it was.
I just counted the 5 and I didn't even,
How's it gonna come
Yeah.
in next year?
pardon me?
Never mind.
Sorry. I have it written down right, so,
Matt's missed that much.
yeah, right?
The presence that.
All right. Good discussion, everybody, thank you. 14A, discussion, new business. Discussion and possible decision, coaching handbook.
Yep, this was
So-
a
Yeah.
board request,
Yes.
and
So we had a discussion at the last couple of board meetings about bringing the coaching handbook to the board. And we had another conversation separate from that about the idea of appointing an ad hoc committee to review and go through the details of this. And so in light of that, I would ask the pleasure of the board to essentially table the approval of the coaching handbook And then seek interest to create an ad hoc committee to then report to the board their recommendations and ask for approval at a subsequent board meeting. Subsequent, not by a date specific necessarily.
I would be part of that committee. I mean, I really went through it with a fine tooth comb and there's missing pieces.
Okay? Are you willing to make the
I'll
motion?
make the motion.
Motion to
Yeah,
table.
Table it.
I'll second.
Zebro, second by Gorman.
No.
Other than Amy, who might have an interest before we vote? Well, we should vote because it was a tabling motion.
Right.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To digress from the agenda, Amy, you're willing to serve on that committee? All right.
I can.
Diane? Mr. Hanson? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Well, I know we had
Assuming it
talked
can work
about
on
it.
my schedule, yeah. I mean,
Well,
Jess has
alternate?
been a big part of this too.
Well, I was gonna
right?
ask, I mean, I don't wanna be on this committee, I'm a sports guy, but this isn't my thing, it's not just sports, right? We just learned tonight, it's also PBS and all of that, right?
Enjoy working
So,
on handbooks and. Yeah.
Jessica?
Sure.
Okay,
How many of you, yeah, just.
Four, I think, would be good.
Yeah. sure.
Yeah, 4, and if Peter can make it, so, yeah, that'd be great. All right, thank you, everybody. Item 14B, discussion and possible decision, acceptance of the statement of the Board of Canvassers from the primary election.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Zebro, second by Gorman. Any questions?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do I need to abstain since I was part of that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Who do I?
I don't think so.
No, not you, Amy,
No.
but Amy won't.
No, I don't think you
You
need
weren't part
to.
of that
I-
canvas.
She was the
No,
canvasser.
but I'm on the.
I don't
I'm
think
on-
that
no,
matters,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
We already voted, did we already vote?
Wait, vote those
We did.
1,040
That's what I thought.
votes.
We did.
Okay. Jeez. Before we go any further, Amy, would you be willing to head up the committee, in other words, work with the other 3 members on the handbook to get the times on the schedule and all of that? Work through Amy on
I
that?
guess so.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you. Okay, otherwise it would be kind of languishing out there who's in charge.
Yeah. Are
You're
you
in charge.
setting a time frame as far as when?
No,
Prior
why don't you
to-
guys meet and then you can come to agenda setting in April, and if it's ready, great. If it's not, then it goes to May or June, right?
Okay, sure.
So, you and I had kind of talked about
Yes.
that, so.
When the spring sports is, they've already started
Started,
in
yeah.
practices.
Item 15A, WSB report.
That would be me, and we have a day at the Capitol on Wednesday, March 22nd. If you're interested, let Amy know and she'll set you up. I believe we can still register for this.
Which one is that?
This is the day at the Capitol. It's March 22nd.
If you're representing.
Yeah. Trying to think, I know you can't get a hotel. Are you going, Mike? Okay, Mike's going, so it is
Where
getting
you
pretty
going?
close, but I think I did look it up. I can't remember what the cutoff date is for that.
You can
Anybody's
get another
interested
pin
in
then too.
He gets it, I'm not going. So, as of now, and there was nothing really. Though there will be the new board.
New board
meeting.
of
Yeah,
orientation.
Yeah, orientation, that, and I'll have the dates for that, I don't have them right now, but if you need them, let me know. I'll give them to you. Thank you, because I know they're by region or district, okay, all right. that's
Did
all
we
I-
receive any of the material from that one conference that was in the Dells because of the weather?
The legal one?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They were supposed to send
Mhm.
all the information,
When was it, do you know?
their last snowstorm.
Yes.
I have to look it
Yes.
up.
February something, wasn't it?
Around the 23rd-ish, I wanna say, it was that Thursday.
I'll have to contact them and ask them.
Yeah.
There's like,
They were supposed to send in credit
Did
so
you
much
go?
back, but send all the material.
Okay.
Okay.
I believe you're right, that was
Okay.
February 23rd.
I wanna
February
say it's-
23rd in the Dells,
you.
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
All right, item 15B, CISA 9 report, Mr. Kaiser.
On Wednesday, February 1st, there was a Zoom meeting, and it's a 2-pager, not bad. Read it, go ahead and read it.
Okay. Future agenda items. Amy Hollis, did you get my email a few moments ago, about an hour ago?
I did, I haven't found it yet.
That's okay, I know you were taking minutes. So, a potential agenda item, but it seems to me that we had something in the last few years, so on AP and dual credit classes, you know, cost of it, number of participants. I know, I saw in the materials tonight that the dual credit classes allow our students in our district to save about $300,000 in future tuition. But I think it might be helpful for, especially we're gonna have at least one new board member, right? And just to get caught up on that, right? Or two new board members, right?
2 or 3.
So, yeah. So I think it might be helpful, maybe not for April, but as we think down into the future, just, we don't need, and I already know we have building and other presentations, but there's a lot always going on, a lot of meetings, but I think that would be a helpful content. Stankowski.
I've spoken about this last month, but again, I would really like to see the historical background of the 4K.
Yes.
How it was, especially if we could get that by next month, it could be, for one, my last meeting, but secondly, the May meeting is when that contract is gonna come back through finance, so who's ever sitting on finance, it would be helpful for them to know how was 4K started? What were the implications that came from it? What happened, you know, we've asked, Diane has asked multiple times about, you know, have we been giving, what are the busing costs, the implications, would people rather to go back to full day, you know, that kind of thing, if we could get something there, because if you remember back in 2016, my daughter, I remember sitting in the audience asking the board to not, please do not make that section at the middle school, or at the elementary school, I'm sorry. And what has come is it kind of seemed like it was, yeah, we'll do it for this year, yeah, we'll do it for one more year, and then, you know, as time goes on, people, it just becomes commonplace, you know, and the same with going to the half day, it just becomes.
Right, so it will be, we will be
What
getting
it
a
is.
presentation in the month of April.
That'd be great.
Okay.
We did discuss tonight a 4K curriculum
I did
adoption.
see that.
So we have adopted the curriculum
I did see that.
unanimously, well, Mike and me, but with Matt's
Sure,
involvement
okay,
and,
sure.
yeah, Matt didn't vote, so it was only 2-0.
Megan, you also want
but,
to really keep it community-based also, correct? As
Well,
far as-
Well, we're gonna get a report.
Yeah, just getting a
I've
report
already
because.
talked to Jolene about it.
Yes.
We're gonna be
I mean,
having.
because it was.
She's prepared.
Certainly before my time, right? It was before David's time. I'm not sure. I don't know. I tried going back to the board notes, but just to see like what the effect, and people like that extra section at the elementary school, but now it's creating other issues, you know, where else and what's the future going to look like?
She's preparing her report already,
Okay.
and we talked about it at curriculum tonight.
Okay.
So,
Is that going to include a survey to the parents and to the other entities as well?
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a report of basically of where we are today. And if the board then would like us to go to the community over the succeeding couple of weeks, all right, after the April board meeting, I mean, if we then have to approve something for the month of May, that would give us time to do that.
Correct, and I just say that because, I could be wrong, Diane, did you ask for like a report like last year?
That was like last year for a survey for the 4K, and we were supposed to, because the numbers our 4K have continually gone down since we went to half day versus full day. So what are the implications of revisiting that? Will we gain some more students back? Because those all count towards the budget as well. These kids come back as kindergartners. Then we're strapped with, oh, now we got 15, 16 kids coming in kindergarten at the last minute.
Right.
I just think we have a report coming.
Yep.
Jolene's been working on it.
So hopefully all that's
for-
included.
Right.
For many weeks. There's a lot in it. I've seen some of it. I know Rob has been working with her, and I have been checking in with Jolene as well as recently as last week. So we look forward to that report.
Okay?
Thank you for reminding us tonight, because when we went through consent agendas, when I was down the hall, I made a note of it, but then it ended up in my pile here. I was gonna mention that we did approve, as you saw in the consent agenda, agendas for instructional programs. We took up curriculum for 4K. We had a number of 4K leaders and aides here tonight, and teachers, and that I was gonna mention to the board in the context of the consent agenda, that it was coming as a presentation next month. So, and Diane and I had talked on the peripheral about it during agenda setting. Any other future agenda items? Okay. Item 17, movement into closed executive session. The board will convene into closed executive session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 1C, for the purpose of the state statutes, for the purpose of discussing and approving performance evaluation data and compensation for the 2023-2024 school year for salaried and administrative staff, and section 19.85 1G for the purpose of rendering advice from legal counsel.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Zebro, second by Gorman to go into closed session